I
Okay.
got it. Click. Um, I was asked by the Norwegian Masseur Association if I could help them because they were painfully aware that massaging people did translocate the diseases. They actually were open about it, and they said, yes, we know that. We can see that when we massage people, we push the diseases to others. And we do not talk about it because we don't know what to do. You know, that is actually for most therapist associations. So I gave a course in Oslo for masseurs. And I thought, wow, this is masseurs. I never, in a way, had any much contact with them, but they were highly sensitive people. And after one day, I did a demonstration, and I asked one of the more prominent members, masseurs, to have a patient. We have this patient on the desk, and I asked him to then do an evaluation, and he did a very thorough evaluation about all the tensions in the body, the muscles, and so on. And he found that the two legs had different lengths. And then I said, then you just open, as I had explained the first day, open the middle and invite Christ in. When I had lectured that the day before, there were quite a stir in the participants because several of them were anti-Christ, as many are today. So they were very upset about this. And so he did this, and then he waited 10 seconds and re-evaluated the patient. And he said, it is as if I have been massaging for 1 hour. And he checked the legs, and they had become even equal length. So this made such an impression for all the participants that the Norwegian Masseur Association really have got a new insight into spiritual medicine and the middle, opening the middle. We haven't talked very much about opening the middle, I guess, here, have we, Andre? We have been talking about the path, Nordic path, but not this opening of the middle. Or have
Well,
we?
yeah, not so much, Ari. Yes, I mean, if you
No.
can just go into details of this
I
particular
can,
topic, it would
yeah,
be great.
I can repeat it a little because when we start to fade and merge into the elemental world, there are two possibilities of action. We can either go through the elemental world and reach the threshold and this higher spiritual world, the etheric world and higher devacanic or astral worlds. Or we can stay at the point in the elemental world where we have come, and there perform our work or deeds. And this is actually very important because in the elemental world, we can perform what Rudolf Steiner called hygienic occultism in the first part of this elemental world, in the second part, mechanical occultism, and in the third or deepest part, eugenic occultism. So this first level of the elemental world there where we can do hygienic occultism. That is what I was teaching the masseurs. So when they then massage patients, they can fade into them and then find this middle, which they were very good at as a masseurs. I have changed my view on masseurs totally. They are so sensitive. I thought they were strong men and women who were doing the muscles, but they are so extremely sensitive. So they found the middle with no problems, the middle between the Luciferic elemental being and the Ahrimanic elemental being, which is about in the heart area, the sacred heart. And then they invite Christ in. They make this opening bigger. They sort of push the Luciferic elemental a little upwards and the Ahrimanic being a little downwards. And then they Christianize the elemental beings by inviting Christ into the middle between them. And this is what Rudolf Steiner talked about and said was very important in times to come, which is now, that is to Christianize the elemental beings. And by doing that, you change the effect of them. A Christianized elemental being cannot cause disease. It cannot harm. It has a total different appearance and and um, and appearance and effect in the world. So I think this is what we can do on our, even if we maybe are not mature or ready to go through all the elemental world, we can on this way, this path, do the work of inviting or bringing Christ into this middle. Yeah, that was a little from last time. So when we have the past 6 times been talking about how to go deeper and deeper into the elemental world, we can where we are actually bring Christ into the elemental world. Yeah. Are you hearing me? Yes?
Yeah, we are hearing. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Um, I have one interesting detail. We know this kind of exercises, they were introduced by Rudolf Steiner in 1912,
Yes.
April 3rd. This is lecture number 1. It was done in Finland, Helsinki. So mostly for anthroposophists from Russia, or let's say from Russian Empire. So let's say Andrei Bely was part of it, and so many friends, specifically Russian speaking. And then a little later, he gave 2 addresses, at least probably 1 address. And in the end of these addresses, he gave a meditation. And it's not coincident, but meditation is quite interesting because it relates to the topic. And I will read in German, but probably you will understand. So this is for evening. So with concentration on heart. So we should imagine in the heart. So we have a star which is radiates light. So, and meditation is die Kraft meines Wortes, die Liebe meines Wortes, wohne in deiner Seele, wohne in you. In dir, I mean dich, sorry. So,
Kannst du das nochmal lesen, André, bitte?
yes, die Kraft meines Wortes, die Liebe meines Wortes, wohne in deiner Seele, wohne in dich. In dir, I'm sorry, in dir. Sorry for my German. But of course, a person should imagine being of Christ, which is directly speaking to you. So there is also meditation for the morning, but I will put it in maybe, I'm not sure if I can, in the chat of our Telegram channel. So in a more exact form. Yeah, it's an interesting, Ari, because it's specifically a meditation to receive, or actually to receive forces of Christ in the heart of meditant.
And when you then think about that, at Steiner's time, the part of the elemental world that was open was this first part, that where you could do this hygienic occultism. And the work, how we do it, is actually to invite Christ into the heart of the patient, or even of the device or the animal, or even yourself. So yes, that is how far he could go at that time. And today we have to go further into the elemental world and through the elemental world. So how is that work going? Now I ask the group, how is your work in going deeper into the elemental world going? And have you done something at the point where you have come? That is a question from me.
Yeah, dear friends, you know how to raise your electronic hand. So you should navigate your cursor or arrow in the bottom of your screen. And there is button reactions. Click on reactions, and there is another button, raise a hand. So, but I know Lois was first. Yeah, Lois, go ahead. Unmute your machine, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, a question for Are with the healing forces of Christ. I have a girlfriend in Florida who's very, very ill, and she's very, very Christian. And is there a way to do this to help her because I'm not there? I was supposed to go down, but her condition keeps getting worse and worse. And I'd like to do something. You know, I feel like I can't be there. Is there a way to do this to help her?
Yeah, not being there, you mean?
Yes.
Well, one of the things with the elemental world is, and that is today shown in element physics of the elemental particles, that distance does not actually matter. That is called the ghost effect, when you have two elemental particles that have come from the same source, and even if they are 100 light year away, they react exactly simultaneously. So that is possible if you then, but that is important. Then you first go into at least some distance into the elemental world. You fade in at least as far as you can, not too far though. So, and there you can then visualize this friend, and then you, with your fingers or hands, you open an area around the heart, the middle, what I call the middle. And when you have managed to open there, you invite Christ in 3 times. And if you do that correct, it has amazing effect on the one you do that with.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll try that.
Okay. Renee? Hi.
Hello, Ari. I'm kind of fading in and out with I don't know how to fix that. So sorry you can't see my face. I think it's distracting. Ari, I'm not doing so good. I would like to work with you personally, but I'm learning. And I have a big question. I've worked with flower essences for 25 years with people who are making essences with in nature, the elementals, not the Bach remedies who now make them with machines and ultraviolet lights. So I'm working with FES who make them. They're anthroposophists. They're well known all over the world. I've always seen that I wanted transformation and work with the causal body. I didn't even know anthroposophy. I've come to know it through the years. And my question is, I'm having a heck of a time with supplements and homeopathy and everything with transmutations. I'm just giving it all up because it's literally, I'm starting to see it going through my granddaughter and I've already seen it in my daughter. I didn't know what I was seeing because I know there's environmental sharing and resonance. But my question is, I'd like to have you help me in that way, but flower essences are created on, you mentioned about the homeopathy being the law of, likes, it's the working on that law of similars. Or flower essences is made with the law of union of opposites. So I'm understanding that I have the possibility of transformation with flower essences without any aggravations like I'm getting with homeopathy. And I think the aggravations are my own spirit that I'm chasing, the negative elementals. But so therefore, if we give flower essence to everybody with that law, it won't work. I mean, it'll stimulate some consciousness, which is how they work, but it won't take you through a transformation. As I tell my people, I'm retired now, you have to do the work. So I guess you're the next step on showing me how to do the work. I don't feel like flower essences is the question, does translocate, but it has the ability because it's a transformative medicine. What is your conversation on, me personally with some of this crazy stuff that you could help me with, but in general, putting out the flower essences, just letting us know if it's has the ability to transform, because I'd like to bring more of this medicine to people in just conversation, but I'd like to bring more of your work just in the simple way of trying to develop the meditation. But again, only if the essences are made in that sensitive way, instead of the Bach remedies, which some of you may know, they're not made that way anymore. Bach was a homeopathist, a famous homeopathist, moved away from it to develop the sensitive medicine for transformation because he was recognizing there was something missing with homeopathy. I don't think he knew about translocation, but that there was something missing and that he wanted to work with the soul. Okay, so sorry, thank you for listening to my big dissertation, but I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. So thank you.
I have still not got your question. What is the question?
Question is, first of all, I'd like to work with you, and I want to know how to do that personally, like if person to person to help me with some of this crazy translations. But can it be on record that flower essences do have the propensity to transform? It's a conscious medicine. It's a sensitive medicine because it's working with the elementals. They make them with the 4 elementals in nature, and they have a certain way, Patricia and Richard Kaminsky, Richard Katz, Patricia Kaminsky, where they're making it with this sensitive nature of understanding, invoking the different realms in a balance.
So your question is actually if I think that the these essences transform or translocate?
Yes.
I don't know. I have to observe.
But they probably can do both. But I mean, homeopathy is not going to do that, because if the person
Again, I have to observe. I cannot say these things out of theory. I have to observe, because there is a difference between therapists, and some translocate, some transform, most translocate, even if they use herbs or oils, or especially in homeopathy, especially in acupuncture. But you have to, there is no 100%, so I cannot answer.
it's showing me it's a sensitive attunement of the human being. That's really what we're seeing here. And no matter what modality using it, it is the sensitivity of the human being, and if they do these meditations and connect to the Christ. I think
I think the only transfer, it seems, when I say it that way, it seems a little sort of only, when I say only, the Christ force seem to be transformative. I don't like to say the only, but it still seems to me that it is the only force that transforms. It sounds a little categoric, and I don't like to be categoric, but in just this case, I think I have to be categoric. So it depends how these therapists work with the Christ force. This masseur I told you about, after 1 day of instruction, he could actually bring the Christ into the middle. And it was fascinating to see how that worked in the patient. And it changed the whole atmosphere in the course. Everybody, because he was a very respected masseur in that union. And they suddenly, all the criticism disappeared.
So
Yeah.
when you're using any type of medicine, if it's an herb or anything, we should go through these processes. If a person's having a problem with translocation and they're using herbs, or they're whatever they're using, we should be doing this process with every way that when we use a medicine, we should be using this process.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for everybody. And Ari.
Okay, thank you so much. So Jordan is next. Jordan.
Hello. Nice to see you
Hello.
again. I just wanted to share my experiences the past couple of times beyond the threshold. I've been using a flame to fade since our Vancouver workshops. Each time I meet what I believe to be the guardians of the threshold, but they are frozen, and I, with my will, ask the question, may I speak to the guardians of the threshold? And I hear them say to me that I need to go speak to Anna first. And so I asked RA where to find Anna. I wasn't sure how to reach her. And he said that she was in the 7th layer of the good earth. And so with my will, the next time I faded into my candle, I was brought to her. I did not see her, but I heard her speaking to me, and she told me the importance of working with gold at this time in our evolution. And I know in the first workshop you did speak to this, so I don't want to repeat that because you can find that in that workshop with the Black magicians. But I'm curious, over the past few months, if you've received any more information through your travels about the importance of gold, and maybe if there's any ways that we can work with them, more intentionally to help at this time.
This is a very interesting question, because when you read this new published 5-volume work from Judith von Halle, she has almost 100 pages where she describes the working of the left hand magicians, the black magicians in our time. And according to her, they are their main attack is the streams of iron inside the earth, especially in the 6th layer. And by this, they want to move or push further to move the North Pole, and then bring this geomagnetic streams that Steiner talked about in geographic medicine, how important, how they go from north-south or east-west. If they go north-south, they strongly strengthen the Ahrimanic forces. And if then this North Pole is now on its way very fast from Canada to Russia. And it might seem that this will bring a strong Ahrimanic tendency to the Ural mountains, and then counteract the building up of the 6th epoch, which is been doing in that area just now, actually. So this tendency, this drive from the dark side can be counteracted by going through the good earth into the 10th, 11th, 12th layer, and there influence the streams of gold, because the iron is in the 6th layer and the gold is in the deeper. The gold is more heavy metal, so it is deeper situated in the earth. That's actually quite physical. And by this streaming, counteract the streaming of the iron. So that is how we can do that. But to go there, you have to then pass this 7th, where Anna is, Anna herself the 3rd, and then go further in to the 10th, 11th, 12th, and there sort of give your ability to work, sort of present yourself and say, what shall I do? What can I help you with in this streaming of the gold? So that has to be sort of streamed and the opposite way as the iron streams. The iron streams go from west to east now. So we have to sort of push those streams from east to west. That is my answer to that very complicated question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bonnie? Bonnie, you next.
Yes, hi. Hello, Ari. I was at your workshop at Emerson. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Very well.
At one point you said that the elementals are evil, or that some of them are evil. Is that correct?
Well,
Or Ahrimanic? I'm not sure I got
yes,
the right
yes.
coordinate.
The word evil is not actually. I don't like to use that. They are all adversarial origin.
Adversary.
As part of them are Ahrimanic dominated, a part of them are Luciferic dominated, and a part of them are Assyric dominated. It's better to say that than to say that they are evil.
Yeah. Okay, so my question is, where do we start? How do we know which ones are and which ones aren't? And, do we start with a flame? Do we start with a computer?
You can start with, yes. what is the question is, how do we recognize who is
Yes.
Arimatic, who is Luciferic?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, no, not exactly.
no.
I mean, are they all one of the three?
Yeah.
All of them are one of those three.
Or
Lucifer, Ahriman, Azures.
or it might be a certain mixture.
So basically we could start anywhere.
Yes.
Okay. The next
But
question.
basically there are all these three types.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. I have another question. So just now you spoke about the hygienic elemental world and separating, going to
Hygienic
the center.
occultism.
Yes.
Hygienic occultism in the elemental world, yes.
Okay. So if we arrive to the next, to the second, and pushing through the second, trying to get through to the third, how do we go between those two, between the second and the third? Do we push up and down, sideways, back and forth?
You ask how to travel into the deepest realm of the elemental world?
If I feel that I am in the second and pushing through to the third, how do I go to the center and separate? Because you said the Lucifer and Ahrimanic, you go to the middle and you push Lucifer up and Ahriman down.
Yeah.
So is it
Okay.
the same directions going from second to third, to first?
You have a little confusion just there, I see.
Okay.
You see, I have probably not explained good enough. When you merge into a being, animal or a human being, or even a tree or other things, you observe all three elemental beings. You observe the Luciferic, you observe the Ahrimanic, you observe the Azuric. When you want to bring Christ into the middle, then you have to make a space for Christ. And then you push the Luciferic upwards and the Ahrimanic and Azuric downwards, or the Azuric a little to the side and the Ahrimanic downwards. And then you invite Christ into the middle. That is one, and that starts a transformation of the elemental beings. So, but there is also another possibility, another method. You can, if you stand in front of one single elemental being, because this first I described is as it is in the body of living beings.
Okay.
But you can also stand in front of one elemental being, for example, a demonic being who is not bound to a body, who is a free-range spirit, you might say. Then you have to go into the middle of this and make an opening. And there you can invite Christ in. That is another method. And this you can do wherever you are. And that hasn't, but if you do this in the third realm, which is the first you come to, then the effect of this action can be characterized as hygienic occultism. If you go into the second realm, which is the middle realm, dominated by the Ahrimanic beings, and you perform this deed there, then the effect can be characterized as mechanical occultism. If you go further and come to the first realm, which is the third you come to, but it's called the first, that has its special reasons. where the Asuric beings dominate, and you perform this there, that is called eugenic occultism. And then you decide what to do with these occultisms. But that is up to you when you are there. Was that clearer?
Yes, it is clear. In the Faders group, the Emerson WhatsApp group, there was a question. I asked a question, and you said, I asked how, at what point do we do this Christianizing? And you said it's best to get the instructions vidar. And my understanding is we would have to go all the way through all three of them
You who asked
to
that. No, you
to
don't.
arrive at vidar.
No, yeah, well, that is also a possibility. You see, on the path, on the way to the threshold, you can perform these occultisms. You don't
Okay.
have to go in and then back.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have been there, then you receive instructions, and that helps you further. On the way to, if you walk to London, on the way to London, you can drink from this or eat there and do certain things. But when you have come there and then you get instructions where is the best place to eat or drink, then you can go back and do it sort of better.
So basically, you have to cross the threshold to encounter vidar.
Yes.
Or can you can't encounter him like in the second?
It doesn't seem like that, no. We in a way have to go this through the elemental world by ourselves, and then we reach the spiritual world. Johanna von Keyserlingk asked Rudolf Steiner about that quite late, I think around the time of the agricultural course, 24 or something, that because she could go partly into the elemental world, but she couldn't go through it. She had quite certain abilities to do this. And she said, Steiner, Herr Doctor, can we reach the spiritual world through the elemental world? And then he answered, yes, it is possible, but today it is too dangerous. So you see, then when you go through the elemental world, then you can bring all these faculties with you, as long as you are aware of the transforming force of Christ. If you are not aware of it, let's say you go through the elemental world without knowing these things, you just go like I did when I was 5 or 10 years old. I had no idea about the meaning of Christ or the necessity of Christ. I didn't know. I just went in there and observed, but I was not able to do anything. I was not able to transform anything. I could do something. I could move the elemental beings. I could travel in time and other things, but I could not transform it because I didn't know. And that knowledge I got actually from anthroposophy, and later then, of course, from Vidar, who instructed me more detailed how to do it.
Okay. One last thing. When I was fading into candle flame, I felt as if I had gone into the second. I saw a spider, black spider, and then I did the separating and invited Christ in, and I saw what looked like a spiritual being, like a being of light, And I don't know if that was the elemental transforming, or
I would
I
think
wasn't
so.
sure.
I would think so.
Okay.
But I'm not
Thank
sure. But
Yeah,
that is a good option.
it could be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So Nancy is next.
Hello, Ari.
Hi.
Ari, can you speak? Because right now, Andre's my only picture, but if you speak, I think you'll pop up.
I can
There
say
you
something.
go. Okay, hi. So yeah, it's good to be here, and thanks. I was at your workshop in Toronto, and have been exploring different realms since then. What I'd like to just briefly speak of is immediately after the workshop, after being in such an intense space and feeling just so much energy and so electrified almost, I think, through our work and through especially the group, when we as a group were working at Christianizing an object. There was such a power that circulated amongst us. So just the amplification of that was really strong. And I carried that with me through the next day. And that night I had incredible dreams. And the morning I woke up and several things happened. First of all, a dog jumped into my face and kind of bumped into my cheekbone in a very hard way. And then several hours later, my shoelaces got tied together and I tripped and fell very hard, flat on my face, and almost cracked my cheekbone where the dog had just hit. And so it just felt like a really intense way to ground after being so intensely involved. But it did have a cautionary sense to it. So that's kind of what I'm asking. Is this, I do feel there's a connection. The number of things that happened afterwards and then the fall, but the healing that came to me afterwards was also remarkable, in that even though I was really banged up, I had to deeply surrender to spiritual forces that seemed to be very available at that time. But a few days later, I was trying to do some of the exercises again, and then I got up and I stumbled. So I'm kind of just observing and a bit cautious then about, is this just part of the path that we go through, that we can have emotional dysregulation or physically, and not to get too thwarted by that, but to keep going? Or do I listen a bit and try to go a little slower? A few days after that, I dreamt that my third eye, there's a bubble coming out, and the words were, your brain needs to be rearranged. So I'm holding that. I'm still doing the practices, but a lot more lightly. But it seems like I can go, I can more lightly do it in a sense as well. That without as much effort, I sense that I am present with something more. And having that new learning of the Christianizing, even if I don't feel I should go further, I pause there and I do the opening. And sometimes I don't know what I'm doing, but afterwards, it's like I'm filled with light. So it's almost, like something's coming back to me from that.
I have a few comments, and I got one more just now. And when you Christianize elemental beings, they change. They change radically. They become light-filled. They, especially in the heart, an elemental being has no heart. It's like the mermaid in H.C. Andersen. And the elemental beings are very sad that they don't have a heart. And this mermaid, she wanted a heart, and if she could get the love of a human being, it would give her a heart, you know, all this fairy tales. So when you Christianize an elemental being, it change appearance very much. It becomes heart-filled. It gets a heart. You give them a heart, and this heart radiates light. And that is also why a Christianized medical plant or homeopathic remedy doesn't then work anymore, because like cures like does not apply anymore, because the elemental being has changed form, so it cannot frighten away the disease. But if you change or Christianize the elemental being of the disease, not of the remedy, but of the disease itself in the body, then you can have a healing effect. That was one comment. The other was, oh, what was the other comment? The first thing you said. What was the first?
I was talking about having crashed after.
Yes, that was, yes. And several have asked me to go into the elemental world and meet the elemental beings. Is it dangerous? And in a way, well, I usually answer in this way. When you are on your way down to the earth, you are going to be born. Let's say you are on the way down to the planetary spheres, and somebody asks you there, so are you ready to be born? And then you ask, yeah, but is it dangerous? And then you think about all these dangers that you will meet as being born. You go to school, you be being mobbed, you are beaten up by bullies, you cross roads, there are cars, wars. Of course, there are dangers. And that is also in the elemental world, of course. But if nothing is without any, you can be frightened, you can be stopped by elemental beings that are of especially adversarial strength. So yes, they can make certain problems for you. But if you were to avoid every danger or problem, then you never would actually be even born. You have to you cannot go out of your door. That's dangerous. There are cars. there are.
Right, I get that. I guess it's a sign of either maybe I'm doing it right, or I'm doing it maybe not right enough, you know, that I suppose I can't avoid it all, but I guess, but I suppose it is instructive in that
you have to learn on the way. You had, like in life itself. First time I went to a big city, you know, I was scared, but I had to be careful. Okay, green light, red light. Oh, that I've never seen that before. Red means that you don't go, and green means go. So the elemental world and also the other spiritual worlds, they have their rules. They have their inhabitants. They have their laws to abide by. And you don't know that until you come there. First time I came to India, I asked a taxi driver, is it right driving or left driving here? Because I couldn't figure out by watching the traffic. And the first taxi driver said, oh, there is right driving. And then I asked another, and he said, oh, no, there's left driving. So, but you have to experience these laws and rules everywhere you come, and they differ. They are different. It is, for example, the laws of a transformed elemental being is very different from a law of a not transformed elemental being. It's like in nature, if you go in the forest and you see a cow, a huge cow, they are quite big, horns, but you're not really afraid because it is tame. But if you see go into the forest and you see wild swine, you should be very careful. They are little, so you have to do that. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just one more question is around the group work. You know, it was very powerful when we were doing something together. And now I understand, you know, many groups are coming together to pray for the world, say, you know, especially particular situations. So there's many groups saying, okay, we'll meet, you know, at 7 o'clock or 12 o'clock. My question is, if we're praying with a loving intent with people from afar, and there does seem to be impact from it, but is that possibly still translocation? If everybody is not doing it through the Christ force.
Could be. It is always that possibility in the spiritual world, especially, yeah, in the spiritual world, especially the elemental world. You can transform or you can translocate. If you translocate, then you are pushing it onto others, which is not actually moral.
Right. So even if a group is using it in a prayerful way and doing it with that loving intent, but not necessarily going into the third realm with a consciousness or carrying the word Christ, it's
Could be.
Okay.
Could be. I cannot say it is or not, but you have to be aware of the possibility.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Nick is next. Nick, unmute your machine, please.
Sorry, me. Good day there, Ara. Thank you so much for coming to Canada. It was really a wonderful experience. I really appreciate all the information that you passed along to us. And I really appreciate the group as well. I really thank Nancy as well. I have had a very similar experience at the Toronto thing after we practiced our Christianization and the spiral of energy that occurred after. I felt it very much ever since and thought about it really very strongly. I'd like to thank you for that, but I'd also like to thank all of our dear friends here for all of your wonderful questions. And all of these videos have been so essential in providing me some really great answers to the questions that I was having during this process over the past month and a half. All of you guys asked such great and thoughtful things, and your responses were just what I needed when I needed it. So thank you all, especially the physical changes. When you mentioned that in your episode 5, because I had been noticing the same with my hair after the conference. All of a sudden, I couldn't stand my hair in a ponytail. Like every time I put in a ponytail, I get a bad headache. I just immediately take it out. And same thing too is very straight now. Like my hair is supposed to be curly and like a lot of knots, and that's a little scary to begin with. As well as I stopped right after I lost my taste for meat. I'm a chef by trade, and like I love cooking roasts. That was a big thing. And then that same day, like I went home, I just tasted like this doesn't taste right. And I just now still I don't feel sick. Although I did eat a McDonald's, my wife got me a McDonald's burger early, and then I ate it, and I threw up that night. 2 hours later, I threw up, and it was not right. It tasted good. Let me tell you, it tasted really good, but I threw up that night. And since then, like, I just made me really think about it. Now there's tasting. And the other one, I had a glass sliver in my hand for 3 years. It's been in my finger. I tried to get it out so many times. 3 days after this thing, it had like a little bit of pus around and it sloughed out. It came right out. And when you told me that these things could happen, I just understood. It made me feel a lot better. And the other major one was when you said that, like, when I first started and I passed into like the luciferic realms, I started seeing the things. I was so happy and excited. And I was like, oh man, I feel like I am Christianized. I have that I really could feel Christ's love, which I still feel, but I also saw the beauty and all the other things. And then as I continued to go, I started into the Aramonic realms, and I saw the different energies going, and I started getting sad, and I couldn't understand why I was feeling down all of a sudden, because I was down. And then you explained that you feel it as you're passing through. And then once I understood that, I understood the Azuric problems my own Azuric demons that are inside me became much more clear, that I could now see them coming back and forth through the things that I was fading into. Because when I looked down, I could see something, because you had mentioned that the Azuric force was on the bottom right side, and you said this in a video. And I was like, that same day, I think it was last Thursday, I was very deep and focusing in my morning training, and I just remembered, and I went down, and I was watching the stream, and I Christianized right below, and I could see the stream cut out. Like what was like the thing that I was seeing, it was gone. It was slightly there, but it wasn't bright. And then since then, like my fears, my uncertainties, my doubts, they're gone. They're gone. They were always weird to me to begin with, because they never felt natural. I'm a positive, upbeat person. I like to love, very open. So it always felt very weird to me. And now I feel it's not nothing, but it feels a bit like the Azuric realm. Like it feels more when I'm there, it feels a little bit more like nothing, opposed to the strong feelings.
Do you have any specific questions for this time?
Yes. So now that I am deep, I believe that I've seen the face of Vidar. It was one of my deep ones. I was staring at a white wall. I saw the sun, and I saw a face that looked very much like He-Man from the cartoon. The haircut was exactly the same, and he was smiling. And I immediately, though, fell into a dream. Like I had to close my eyes to see that, because my eyes became so heavy, and I had to close them. And when I saw him there, smiling, didn't say anything, but it was positive. But then I fell asleep for 30 minutes, and it wasn't a dream or that I could remember at all. So I'm asking, is it possible to be receiving knowledge through your dreams while you sleep, and as well as getting the information that I'm looking for?
Yeah. When you are in a teaching situation with Vidar, this teaching go on 24/7, even if you sleep. And these answers and teaching come usually as also a change in body, a change in the hair, a change in the brain structure. And that is so interesting, because that is one of the comments from the one before you, or two before you, that she said she needed a change in the brain structure.
Yes. I had a dog snap at me as well, and I'm a very dog person, and a dog that normally came, I had to, because I think thinking had to change. Excuse me for interrupting.
And that is what Steiner meant, I think, when he said that Vidar is going to bring, or will be going to bring, the new clairvoyance. And this clairvoyance is actually what you get at the threshold from Vidar. There he will, with the help of Balder, he will actually change the structure of your brain, so that you have another clairvoyance than before. Yeah. Okay, good.
Thank you very much there, Ara.
Thank you. I remember you from Toronto.
it was a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So La is next. Am I right? La or Lay? Yes, please unmute your machine.
Hi, Ari. So I saw one of your things online on YouTube. And I also saw you talk with Jason on the podcast. I saw you.
Can you repeat?
I saw you talk with Jason I listened to you talk with Jason Horsley on a podcast fairly recently, and thought I wanted to meet you because I related to what you said. Not because of anthropopathy, I'm not quite sure a lot about that, but as a kid, I was going in the elementals, and I've been doing that for many years. And that was all good for a while. Things were going good, and there was transformation and lots of change and light. But COVID came, and since COVID came, it's been harder to go into that elementals because I've been faced with more difficult things, like the people I'd been talking about. My life was having more unfortunate events or things happening, and I felt like I was picking up entities, and then I have to work to get them out. And so recently I feel like I picked up something, an entity or whatever, and I got hurt, and I've been working with Christ consciousness, right? I started going to church in the past year and getting closer. As a little kid, I was very close to Jesus. And lots of stuff happened, lots of traumas. And when traumas happen, there's like fragments of self. And I was working with people. I would see, like you said, the things that were going wrong, and I could change them. I could take them out. I could just pull them out. But that's been harder for me to do. I still see them, and I go into elementals and I see beings, and I just tell them lately just to leave me alone, just to back off, because there's some confusion. Like, I didn't know all these things. You have this map or format or method, and it's like I never had a method. I was just going in there, and sometimes I would hear things and tell me what to do, or I would just trust the energy, trust the higher power. And so now that finding Christ in the middle for myself, because I've had a lot of pain. I had a spinal injury that came because of doing this work. And I've been asking Christ and doing a lot of praying to like come in and offer healing. And it's just been a bit of a roller coaster. And I'm wondering why it's been so challenging lately. I felt like I was doing pretty decent work. I was doing a lot of work. I was changing a lot of things because I could do that. I mean, it's hard to tell people about these things because they don't see them. But it sounds like some people see these things. So
what is your question? I don't get your question.
My question is, so how do I have the Christ energy expand in myself and go, because I used to be able to go through elementals to get to spiritual. And I used to get to the spiritual that way. But now I can't go through that. It's
and that is after you had COVID, is that what you say?
It's after COVID came. COVID came and changed a lot of things in the energy.
So my answer to that is you see, COVID had to do with the Asuric elementals. So that can hinder you. So you have to go to the area of the Asuric, and that was described by this man before you. He said, I went down to the Asuric area, and open the middle of the Asuric being that belongs to the COVID, and then Christianize this Asuric being. That is what I would say.
How do you go to the, I don't understand this level. I just go in. I don't know where the levels are.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. You have to somehow seek up the Asuric being that is related to COVID, and you Christianize it. Simply and shortly, like that.
And that'll help myself if I Christianize this.
Yes. And you also will help others. If you Christianize the elemental being of COVID, you will also help others who have had problems with COVID and also problems with the vaccine.
So
Because
the
the
other thing,
elemental beings are quite equal.
the other thing, yes, other beings will come in and trick. They trick, or say, they can be tricky. They're not all, like, you might think that's the right one. How do you know that's the right one?
That you have to know from the effect.
Okay.
The proof of the pudding is in the eating, as always. You don't know if it's the right one until you have changed it and then see the effect.
And so it's changing and going in each and every time. There's been some risk to myself when I do that. I've noticed that as well.
Don't be so occupied with risk. Just do it and see, because you cannot do anything wrong by Christianizing an elemental being.
Okay.
Maybe you don't find the right one. That is a possibility. Or maybe you find. You have to try and do it and see the effect. That is like life generally. You have to go out into the world. You have to try to change what you can change and then see if you have changed the right things or not.
Sometimes it looks like when I change things, it looks like I could be changing things in my own body that I shouldn't change.
I don't. Yeah,
It's not
well,
always clear.
I think if you Christianize it, then I think there cannot be much wrong. That is in my
Okay.
opinion.
So just Christianize it. Don't change the structure of it
No, Christianize it.
without changing the structure, the energetic forms.
When you Christianize it, Christ change it for you.
So you just ask Christ to do it and don't do anything yourself.
Yeah, you leave it to Christ how to do it.
So if I leave it to Christ, Christ will tell me what to do with it.
You invite Christ into the middle of the elemental being, and then he can do that. You don't do it. Not you, but Christ in you. Not me, but Christ in me, as Paul said.
So if I hear, like if I invite Christ into it and I say, you need to do this with it, that's Christ telling me what to do, right?
No, I said just invite in. Okay, I have answered now. Just invite Christ in and leave it to him.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. So dear friends, thank you. So here is a line of questions. So Christine is next. Christine.
Thank you, Andre. Your voice is a little bit low. Maybe you can change it by your computer.
I cannot, unfortunately.
So, Ara, hello.
Hi.
See us in Germany.
Yes, we did. Tutzing.
Yes. And you had really a horrible trip to us and going away the same. Horrible.
Terrible. It took time and money.
Thank you that you have been with us. So, I gave you a description for my massage. Do you remember that forming and in the middle opening and inviting the Christ?
Yes.
And now I have the question, because I'm not in the moment ready, or I doesn't see an elemental being. Is it also okay that I do that?
Yes.
Thank you.
And that I experienced with this this course I had for the Norwegian masseurs. The one who had this very, very good effect, he felt the middle.
Yeah.
That is what he did. He felt the middle, and he was very sure every time. He was right every time. He didn't see the elemental beings, but he found the middle, and that is enough.
Okay. Because I know my hands find it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course,
Okay.
the effect is even more if you can see them. The sort of the more you can observe or see or get into the elemental world, the more you can do there. It is just like in our world. If you can feel, let's say you are going through a forest and you are not really seeing, but you can smell, oh yeah, here are trees, here is forest, and you can go through the forest. You can do that without seeing very much.
Yeah.
But you see, you can do even more. Then you can see, oh, there's an oak, there's a spruce, there's a moose, there's a bear. I have to be careful. So the more you sort of observe or feel, or yeah, the better. But you can do a lot by just finding the middle in massage.
And what I'm realizing over all the years, that just when I hear La now, it is a special if you are in your inner connection to the Christ and following his words. If 2 or 3 are together in my name. And that is happening if that client I give massage, or with my students in that special needs school.
Then you are 2 or 3.
Yeah. Maybe that is that greater circle we need to call or to accept. And maybe we could help each other more when we have that in our mind.
Yes.
So as you experience that doing your Behandlung in a circle with the group.
Yes. That is
maybe
another,
that.
Yeah, that is another effect actually, which one should experience. But I'm also thinking about this group here. We are a group now of 50 persons. 50 persons. Yeah, that is a group.
Yes.
And I think that also works as a group. We are helping each other, both spiritually and in understanding with questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Telegram accounts, so which is specifically set to ask questions and share these experiences. So I sent link to Ari too, and you're welcome to participate. So I will send you link too. So, okay, Mima, so are we done with Christine, right?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ara.
Okay,
I will not hold that space all for me.
No.
Thank you. Mima, okay. Yeah, go ahead, Mima.
Thank you. Hello, Ara. We met in Vancouver a month or so ago. So I wanted to reflect on something that was said earlier today about how it is only Christ that can transform. And some thoughts came to me from my readings of Steiner's lectures and studies. The statement, I am the Alpha and the Omega, that Christ is the Alpha and the Omega of everything.
Yeah.
And that it's, to me, it is not surprising or puzzling. Like, it seems right that Christ would be the only ultimately transformative power. Also, when we look from Steiner's insights into mystery of Golgotha, that it was only Christ who could bring that force to rejuvenate our connection to the spiritual world and set us on that path. Now, in the terms of why is it now okay to go through the elemental world, and it wasn't okay at the time of Christ, also from Steiner's insights and yours, like in the 20th centuries when the Christ being's birth in the etheric happened, which wasn't at Steiner's times. And also with your insights that now the elemental worlds have opened, all three of them, that now we have that possibility. And also another part is that Christ has become the Lord of Karma. That, to me, all of that plays into this picture. Why is Christ the ultimate transformative, the only transformative force? Now, from my personal work, since that workshop in Vancouver, I felt a hesitation to start directly fading. Like, I kept thinking, okay, this week is too busy, I'm going to start next week. I'm a Waldorf teacher, kindergarten, lots of work at this time. But then I realized that I have actually a certain hesitation and fear, because my feeling is that my personal history has had some periods of myself and my family having significant adversarial forces, interference. And I feel like it's been a while now that I'm in a really much more grounded and kind of a good period. And I have a little hesitation and fear that I'm with this consciously fading and seeing, and I might attract unwanted interference, and I might have difficulty dealing with it. Now, I've heard your advice to other people who have expressed the fear that one has to take a certain risk, but I wonder whether you have any additional advice as to how to overcome that hesitation and fear. In particular, for me, I think what brings it also, I live alone with my cat. And I'm thinking now, if I come home and I'm seeing all this, possibly, is it going to impact my sleep, my, calm? And I know there is Christ, and I'm working very strongly with inviting Christ's presence all through the day. But yeah, just if you have any advice on how to further help myself.
Steiner, especially in the 19 lessons, he was very aware that there are these counter forces, which he called animals. The tree animals, they are really trying to hinder you, and they also, he say, is created out of the conditions of this time, this present time, every present time. And the one has to do with the thinking, one with the feeling, one with the willing, but they are also related to fear, to doubt, and to hate. And there is only one remedy against it, which is love, hope, and faith. So you must have love for what you will meet. Love thy enemy. Even if you meet a demon, you have to love it. And you have not to fear it. That is courage, love, courage, and faith. And believe that it will go well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you practice love, courage, and faith, you shouldn't have anything to fear. You shouldn't have anything to doubt, and you shouldn't have anything to hate.
Thank you. I also wanted briefly to share how I've been working, and I felt benefits in situations when I was, for example, in a meeting with a group of people with a very contentious situation. I couldn't do, the gestures or speak of this work, but I would internally just invite Christ to be present and to help with the most optimal resolution, or in my work with individual children too. Then, like when I couldn't, do the openings, I would also just internally invite Christ. Or if I would enter a space where there is a group of people and I would feel that there is a kind of just doesn't feel right intuitively, I don't have a vision of elementals, but I can feel on a certain level, then I would just invite Christ's presence. Just wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Elizabeth, you next.
Hello, thank you. My question is, how do I say? It's just a sort of a technical question. It's not something that I'm really, I'm not closely connected to what I'm asking about, but I do want to ask it anyway, because I read about the mechanical and the Huganish and the is it
eugenic?
Eugenic. It's the three occultisms, and in that one, it was talking about. If I understood it correctly, it was about more literally the machines, the mechanical,
yes,
and then connecting with the disease, one of them, and the other one with actually birth.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm only asking, I'm just touching that because we've spoken about it otherwise now, but we didn't say about those, we didn't talk about it that way. So I just sort of don't see quite the connection, or maybe it's not necessary. Or
well, in this third realm, you can heal. That is a hygienic. You can heal diseases. You can influence the strength of the Luciferic and Ahrimanic and Asuric forces in the body. In the second, you can actually then influence the working of machines, the working of material substances, the working of physical toxins, poisons. I just remember now something on the news many years ago that was written in the Bible, that if you have opened for me something, Christ say, then you can step on scorpions and snakes. And there were somebody in somewhere, Africa or Japan or somewhere, who had taken that literally, so they stepped on snakes and of course died. But that is actually from, you have to go into the second realm, then you can influence these substances. And then when you go into the first realm, you can influence death and birth, literally.
Okay.
Yeah. That is meant by the three occultisms.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. June. Hi.
Hello, dear friends. Hello, Are. I started about 6 weeks ago looking into the candle, and I just see dark blue areas around the flame. But I went down to the sea. I lived quite near the coast, and looked into the sea. I love the water and I love to swim. And I saw something a bit like that, which is the William Blake's painting. It was like arms coming up from the sea. And but I can't get down to the sea at the moment. It's been storms every day. And I'm going to carry on looking into the candle.
You live in the south of England?
I live in Cornwall.
Yes, I thought so from your dialect. And this it seems that two of you are able to see the elementals of the water, and both are from southern England. So if Glenn is here, maybe you could say something about that.
Hello, Glenn.
If you can unmute yourself if you're here.
No,
Yeah, Glenn was here. Glenn?
I think he was.
Yes, Glenn and I have both.
Get him to
Glenn and I have
comment
both seen this. Sorry.
Yeah, but get him to comment on the elemental beings in the water. Or maybe you can do it.
Yeah, this is Bonnie. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Glenn and I have talked a lot about that, of, looking into the sparkling reflection of either the sun or the moon on the water in the ocean. And it seems like we're seeing similar things, and they feel like the elementals, as you expressed this. But I also had one more level added to that, which was I saw these rings that were like at different distances from, like at the beginning where the waves crash on the shore, there was a big ring. It was like a portal. And then these elemental, rings of elemental beings, these white flashing, always moving beings at various levels. And as they went back, they went smaller. I've been trying to do a drawing of it, but it's just, there aren't the right materials to express it. But yes, I think it's a thing.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's very encouraging. I'm waiting for the storms to finish so I can go back and sit.
And quite interesting, the place that Steiner commented on the elemental beings of the water was actually in Cornwall, in Tintagel.
Yeah. That's so
it seems
interesting.
that the elemental beings are especially strong in the water of southern England.
Yeah.
Well, I saw them in Italy. I saw them in here in Pacific Ocean. So
and that is also a comment I have. When you first have seen them, then you can see them everywhere.
Wow. Yes. And one other thing, you said in one of your talks that if you douse, you're going into one of the elemental realms. And I douse at the big stone circles that we have. Could you just go into that a little bit more, please?
Well, that is quite long. I have 30, 40 years of working with the so-called Earth radiation.
Yeah.
And both in Norway, in Sweden, Germany, America, and so on. And it is very obvious for me that the Earth radiation itself is elemental beings. Elemental beings. And when you then see these elemental beings that is related to the dowsing, the Earth radiation, then you can ask them to just move or go away from that house or go other places. You don't have to do anything with copper or symbols or whatever. So when you are into the dowsing, you are actually detecting or sort of communicating with elemental beings already.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you.
You too.
I'll carry on.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. So Penny is next. Hi, Penny. Yeah, unmute. You're still muted. Excellent.
Hello.
Hi again.
Thank you. Hello, Ari. And very quickly to Andre, I'm so sorry I hadn't posted lots of things on Telegram. I do intend to do that immediately after this workshop. Things interfered which are relevant to this workshop now. I wanted to say that I've had a lot of poltergeist interference. They stole my financial records, which I had on paper in case we had a global internet outage, and they've totally disappeared. They've been controlling my computer to give me amazingly just incomprehensible messages. So I think everything in the elemental sphere has been swirling around me and doing different things. And you warned that last time. And so thank you. I can handle it. I'm handling it.
Good.
But yeah, but there have been computer interferences. So my apologies to Andre, which I promised I would post lots of things for him. Now, I wanted to say I've experienced a lot of changes of height. So I'm walking around, I'm doing my everyday things, and suddenly I'm feeling extremely tall and amazingly big. And then the next moment I'm feeling in my ordinary physical form again. From my reading of Steiner, I gather that has to do with the experience of the Atlanteans, where they had control of the etheric energies and could increase or decrease their physical form at that stage. And I'm feeling that this is some sort of connected thing that has still come down to us through the thousands of years since Atlantis. So I thought that I was feeling myself in an enlarged etheric body. Now that's my brain trying to interpret what I was experiencing in terms of what Steiner taught, and it might be right and it might not. So I would appreciate your feedback. But I have something connected with that, which gave me cause for pause in a big way. I was walking through my living room to another room, and I was thinking intensely about the various ways I'd like to kill my landlord because of things that were going on with me. And my cat saw me around the corner of the room, and my cat freaked out at what he saw. And that shocked me totally, because I had never seen my cat frightened in my presence before. We're very close. I'm an old cat lady. So it took me by, I got a great shock. And I thought, well, something is happening. And I'm obviously having an effect on my environment that I had no idea about. And my cat is reflecting that back to me. So since then, I've been very careful about how many people I want to kill in my ordinary day consciousness, because it seems to be having more of an effect than normal. So maybe I need to be more careful about it. Can you comment, please?
Yeah, well, I think first or second time we had this workshop, I commented on that there are these side effects when you start to deal with elemental beings or go into the elemental world. And one of them is that you feel very big or very small. That is one side effect. And you have problems then in judging distances. So that can be a little problematic if you drive car at that moment. You have to stop it. And for that reason, I was excused to, I was supposed at a certain time in my life to be the guard of bomb shelters in Norway in case of war. And then I said, well, I have a problem sometimes to judge distances, so and then I was supposed to close the doors, so the last one in, you know. So that is a side effect. So I was excused that work. And you find, and then you have also this poltergeist effect, that things disappear the first time and actually appear. I told about the first time I was in Canada, Alaska, Canada, and Chicago, where I was not allowed to come in. I was at the airport and I didn't have the necessary vaccinations. And then I just slept the night, and the day after I had everything I needed. The records in the computer, not my computer, but in the governmental health computer, was changed overnight. And I have proof of that because I have printouts before that I didn't have enough vaccination, and then the day after I had enough, and then a month later I didn't have enough again. So you see, they can really change these things, and that is sort of some side effects in the beginning of this venture. So when you ask that, so there are certain things that is somewhat unpleasant, like frightening cats, you know, and things disappear, and you don't know how big you are or small you are. It's like Alice in Wonderland. I think sometimes that this description is when entering the elemental world. There are that Alice in Wonderland, the same is Narnia. You go through this locker, this cloth, and then you come into another world where there are alien beings, and there you have this Snow Queen, this evil queen. You have to meet her. There are evil forces but they are existing, so we cannot avoid it. Everything is not just good and pleasant. Yeah, that is my comment.
Thank you so much. I am coping, but I'm curious always as to what it means.
Read Alice in Wonderland once more.
Oh, yes, I've read it. I know. I totally empathize with it. Thank you. I just needed some reassurance there. But I have a question. Where exactly do we exit from the body?
I usually exit from my front head, but I can also do it from my heart area. I can do it from my left hand, and I can do it from my right hand. So that is up to you. You can choose.
I had no idea. I think I've been doing it or trying to do it from the heart.
Yeah, many do.
But the knowledge of left and right hand is totally new. I guess some do from the third eye. But the left and right hand?
Yeah, if I venture from my left hand into an animal, I can see the minerals in that that animal, so I can make a sort of assessment of does it need more copper or magnesium or calcium or iron and so on. And from the right hand, I can see the contents of proteins in the body.
Right.
So you see, from where you go out, you come into the spiritual world in different ways from where you go out. And also you come into different areas of the spiritual world if you go through the door of death, the door of the elements, the door of the sun, or the door of God. I mean, there are very many individual variations you can work with. It's not only one path. There are many paths, as they say in America.
Thank you. But as a woman, we tend to be associated with the left-hand path historically, as far as I've been able to ascertain, which may be simply to do with the hangover from the age of Aries, the fourth cultural epoch, which was very much, well, patriarchal. But it bothers me that all the time as a woman, there seems to be this mixing across to black magic and the undesirable side of things. Obviously, as a woman, I don't feel myself to be a black magician. But I just have a problem that all the time, if you're a woman, it's wrong. If you're left-handed, it's wrong. If it's a left-hand path, it's wrong. And I'm trying to find something positive because I feel I've got an association with that side. And it may well have to do with the door of death, and I'm comfortable with that. But I'm still trying to get a little bit more understanding of how I stand in relation to that.
Yeah, it's very interesting with these left hand and right hand magicians because the door of death is on the left side when you go through the elementals.
Yes.
And on if you go out from the left, you can assess the mineral substance, which is actually quite aromatic. So I've been pondering a lot about these things, me too.
So we go forward and find what we can find as we experience.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've probably had enough time. I've got a lot of more questions, but maybe I should give over to other people.
Yeah, we have used most of the time soon, so yeah.
Yeah. If there is more time, I'll come back, but I'll hand over to others now. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Penny and Ari. So Adrian disappeared. Adrian. No Adrian. So if it's not Adrian, so Anthony, please. Anthony, hello. Yeah, unmute your machine. You're still muted.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that good?
Ah,
yes.
hello, hello.
Good to see you again, Ari.
The first benchman.
Well, it was a wonderful gathering in Vancouver, and thank you for that. It left me with a lot to work with, as you did with many other people that were there. And it was a great experience because I had tried the candle entry previously, and I wasn't getting very far. But when you brought up the cell phone possibility, it didn't take long. And the experience that I had, of course, was that the cell phone disappearing in my hands, basically, that the material, the matter of the cell phone almost dissolved away. And then I was able to enter the various stages that you've spoken about. And then reach a place at the other end where actually the sun came out in glorious sunshine, filled the sky and the sun in the center of it. And then I thought about it afterwards, and I thought, okay, would that be considered to be the sun path that you spoke about, and not the more direct path up the middle? Certainly not the death path. But could one consider that to have been the sun path?
That I cannot answer you, but I know more and more that these paths, as Steiner said, to really get into the spiritual, you should walk all 3 paths or 4 paths, he say one time. And I have seen that you can change between these paths from the elemental, which is sort of the middle. You can jump over to the left, to the right. You can, this varies. And also on this elemental path, there are, of course, the whole cosmos is there. So I think those who are afraid of the elemental path, I think they can vary from the elemental to the others. But I am not, I cannot answer you for sure what you experience there. That I cannot.
Well, thank you.
But it seems more and more that this merging into a flame is maybe not the best way. If flame seems very spiritual, you know, and so on, but even a cell phone is maybe easier or better, which is a little, I don't actually like it is, but so it is.
Well, I think it was a matter of holding something material in my hand.
Yeah.
And allowing that to fade away and to go beyond the material world. And I think that became a little easier later because it wouldn't take as much time to dissolve away. And there was always that feeling, okay, now I'm entering. And the last meditation that I did was very, very different. Had a lot to do with the inside of cathedrals and churches, part of the journey. And at the end, even I saw one of the animals. I believe there were 3 perhaps in the back, the other 2 in the background, but one came forward with 2 large teeth looking at me, and it was quite wild. But it didn't bother me at all. You know, I wasn't troubled by it. So I just kept going. And then when I kept going, I came into almost like a sarcophagus, a dark area. And then I had to really wait to come out of that. And again, I came out into a cathedral-like structure. And then as I thought I was reaching a point where I would break through, but I couldn't. It stopped me. Something stopped me there. I could not go through. And I waited and I waited, but it didn't happen. So I'm going to go back to that and try again and see what will open up for me.
You know what I think? What you describe is something I have experienced. That is when this going through the sarcophagus and coming into some kind of building or church or pyramid that is going back in former lives.
Mm. Mm.
And often you come to where you need to come, that where you have committed actions that is often not really good, that is become karmic. And then you have actually to face that. And that is can be hard for many, and then you sort of go back because you don't like to see your deeds of past times.
Mm.
But this is how you get into a past life.
Mm. Thank
Exactly what you described there.
Thank you. And I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to show you something. As a filmmaker, I traveled a lot in northern Canada, and one of the areas that I filmed in was the north part of Baffin Island, which takes us up to the place of where the magnetic pole was and is now shifting.
That was very good, very correct.
Yeah, and there's a place there called Mary River by Pond Inlet, and Pond Inlet is the very top part of Baffin Island. So you're up in the Arctic at that point. And Mary River, my job was to go and make a film on 3 mountains of iron. Now, this is iron which is protruded volcanically because there was an old volcano. The helicopter pilot wanted me to experience garnet inside a volcano, the walls of a volcano. So he took me there. But there are 3 mountains, and these are not peak mountains. They're large hills, essentially, which are now being mined. I'll show you a piece. I don't know if you can see this, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Is this obvious? Oh, yeah, here. Okay, so this is from there. This is from the deposit, which, of course, at one time was molten. And here, I have a magnet. Oh. Okay, so... Okay, so you can see the magnet.
Yes.
Very magnetic, and there are 2 types of iron there. One is magnetite, this is magnetite, very magnetic. And then there's another, which is hematite, which is not magnetic, found in the same area of these three mountains. And the content of the iron there is 67% in the ore, 67%. Samples were taken to Germany and put into a smelter, and it came out as pure iron, essentially, without any processing, without any separation of anything. There's an island off the coast of Greenland, about the same latitude, which an anthropophilus actually was working with the iron there, and it's of the same type. So I'm wondering about the under the sea, under the ocean current of this iron movement.
Hmm.
Has to do with the magnetic North Pole.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is being shifted, but the Dark Brotherhood, you say, is working. The Black Magicians are working with that. So it's very fast. It's fascinating. I mean, how this being connected to Mars, so has this incredible ability.
Hmm.
Anyway, I thought I would bring that up as a.
Thank you. Thank
So,
you. These aspects are today probably much more important than we realize.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ari, very short question. What is this business with cell phone? Did Anthony fade it right in the device or what?
Yes, let him explain. Let him explain. You see, cell phone is one of my favorites to open the middle and change because you can feel it. You can then the brain doesn't cook. Those who are allergic to cell phone, those who react on this radiation, they can feel an immediate change. So when you crystallize the elemental being in a cell phone, it doesn't hurt you anymore.
Anthony, can you describe?
I'm sorry, Andre, I think your level's a
Yeah,
bit low.
sorry. Could you describe your experience with cell phone? Was cell phone on or off? How did you fade it in?
I think I may have had it on, but without blocked. That is airport, airport mode.
So it was on with screen was on, right?
Yes, but yeah, I don't think that mattered. I don't think that being on may have mattered, but what I thought about was just the physical aspect of it, the material aspect of it.
Gotcha.
Because what became important for me is to go through it. I tried it with this piece of metal and it wasn't working as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I did Christianize the piece of metal before I used it. But I just could not, it didn't have the same kind of ability to allow me to go through it. So there's something more to this than the cell phone, much more. Yeah.
Dear friends, we are working already 2 hours and 3 minutes. So, and I apologize to Nick and Leos because Adrian, are you able to ask a question?
Yeah, yes. Do you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Andre. Hello, Are. I found out your course like a month ago and watched all the videos before. And I tried to merge into candle or a flower. And well, the vision got a bit blurry and black from the outside of the vision. That is my experience so far these last 2 weeks. And I'm from Slovakia, but I'm currently now in Switzerland working in a company, something like Amazon. And it's my question is, I tried to merge into the machines that look like Amazon. And while doing it, I just started to feel like lots of hatred towards humanity in general. Is that a combination? Is that effect of the merging into machines? Thank you.
This is my case too.
Ah.
That I cannot answer just now. I haven't worked with that, so I do not know. But it's not unlikely because you meet these elemental beings and they have an effect on you. And I have thought several times that those who are captured in the machines, they sort of have been forced to work for us. They are first captured in the materiality of this world, and then they are forced into a machine. And even when you come into machines that work with AI or virtual reality, it's even more. It's sort of a third offer, a third crucifixion, you might even say, of the elemental beings. And then it is very easy to feel these feelings of the animals, the fear or the hate or the doubt. And it is so important then that you meet these feelings with the opposite, love, trust, and faith. That is what I can say at the moment, because these elemental beings that are trapped, elemental beings feel trapped. They are trapped in the material world. And then we sort of re-trap them in machines, and we re-trap them into electronic devices. for example, cell phones, television, and then they get sort of a little upset by this misuse of them. So it's very important how we meet them. So work on trying to meet these elemental beings with a love. Love is the most important. That is my comment at that point.
And if I may have one question.
Yes.
Because I don't see them at this moment, but I understand them that they are there. So can I? Does it have any effect when I willingly what, how to say it, share or radiate my love towards them, even if I don't see them at that moment?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you
Thank you
so
very
much. Ari, we have 2 more people with raised hands, so are you able to answer?
Yeah, I think I feel very well today.
Okay, so dear friends, if you can be a little bit shorter than usual, let's say if you can ask a question for a minute and a half, it will be excellent. So Lois is first. Lois, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I was in the Toronto Circle, and I had very dark experiences there and seemed to be in the second elemental realm. And then when I went home and was working after that, I had an experience, and I wrote it down. So to be quick, it's better that I just read it. And I'll show what I used to fade was this beautiful crystal that was given to me by a child who was a student in my eurythmy class in the YMCA. And it's really a beautiful crystal that I've treasured for 20, maybe 25 years. I faded into a lovely and treasured quartz crystal that a 5-year-old eurythmy student gave me 20 years ago. After going through crystal portals, mineral open temple doorways with pediments at the top, experiencing quartz as a living reality, feeling a floor of quartz, I moved through halls of crystal, feeling changes in my body along the way. I entered the dark zone by being led into my breast tumor. Its hardness then appeared as coral shell formations, led into the active heart of the tumor, acting for protection. I went through into a light portal, not mineral, but the same form, and there met not one but 2 figures. I recalled Ari's teaching of Vidar and Baldur. The one on the right was taller and the left smaller and more compact. I didn't see any details of them. They were just vague forms. Many changes then happened in my light body. Then between and behind them appeared a brighter figure of great love who sent into my consciousness all the people I have to send love to today. I've been following that. Then I traveled back. I think I haven't heard people talk about this, but it reminded me of the mystery drama. I traveled back the way I came, rapidly passing through portals and back to the lights in the crystal and home. I set the crystal on the bedside table and began my day. So that was my experience. And since then, the love that I've been sending out to the people, this figure listed the people I was to send love to. And one of them was my brother, and I just saw him this morning. We met at my door passing a package for my mother. And the love between us was, I've never felt it like that before. So it was really potent. That's it. I'll let that go. And thank you, Ari, for your training.
Ari, any comments?
Oh, I was just listening to the story that was, it seemed very realistic.
Yeah, Lois, thank you so much for sharing. Nick is next. Nick.
Excellent. Thank you again there, Ara. My question is quick. I really feel the desire and urge to I practice my Christianization maybe a half dozen to a dozen times a day, but I would really like to be as efficient as possible, specifically in rivers and trying to Christianize the water in the river. It's always moving. I'm trying to catch it in pools where it stays for a bit, or behind a dam where it stays. But I would really like Christ's love to infuse into all of the water that is all around Southern Ontario. And I think about this often. And, do you have any tips for trying to do this?
No, you have to give me tips there.
I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you posted.
Yes. Try different ways. Try different ways.
Excellent. I will. And farmers' fields is the other one. Like when I look at farmers' fields, I don't like to trespass, so I do it from the roads. But is the plane like looking down directly onto the dirt, or can I see the middle of the field and encompass it into my mind and then bring the love there? Mostly just for
you can, as the last option you mentioned there. Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Anthony. Anthony, you are muted. Anthony, you are muted.
Thank you. I'm going to be very quick, but some years ago, a group of 5 of us actually, began to study Vidar, at least what Steiner had given in relation to Vidar. So this goes back to, probably 2010, 2012, whatever. And in around 2015, I decided to make a painting of Vidar and the Fenris Wolf. So maybe I could show it to you. I don't know if that's, is it? Oh gosh, well, I'm gonna do this. It's a little out of focus.
Further away.
Here we are.
There is better.
Okay.
Anthony's okay.
So that's the, if you see it, Vidar and the wolf.
Yeah.
The Fenris wolf. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm hoping is that as time goes on, Ara, that we can hear more about Vidar.
Yes.
If possible. Yeah.
There will be a new book now coming out just in a month or two about further teaching of Vidar.
Wonderful. Thanks very much for everything.
It's already in German, but the English comes out in a few months, two maybe or 3.
Be looking for it. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Ari, do you have any Kindle version or electronic version of your books?
I have no idea how you do that.
I think it makes sense to maybe you can publish it through Kindle too.
Yeah, but this is up to Sevak. He is the English publisher.
I see.
So he must decide that. He owns the English translation, you might say.
So they translate it.
So maybe he can do some Kindle. I have been asked to do a verbal reading of the books in English from somebody. And I have that. I asked Sevak, and he said that is up to me to allow. So I said yes. So maybe they can come in like Dale Brunscore have to do with Steiner, that you can have them on the net and listen to them for free.
Yeah, You have incredibly good pieces on your Facebook, and I copy it into our Telegram account. I think they are very substantial and really kind of representing base of your north path of initiation. Yeah, so I think it will be very helpful.
Yeah.
I'm not saying so. Of course, it can be translated into Russian too. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Why not? You can do that.
Well, yes, but you know, Russia, this is our future.
Yes.
Okay, so it's raised hand from Jordan, and probably we can set our next time.
Yeah, I have been looking at that. What about the 24th of February?
Sounds good. Is it Saturday?
Yes.
February 24th. Yes, it's great.
And
Okay.
how does one join the Telegram group?
I will send you invite.
Okay, thank you.
So it's so I'm sorry, you are Nancy?
Bonnie Maffei.
Bonnie, you're my yeah,
Mhm.
Bonnie. Okay, Bonnie, I will
Can I have
send you
also, can I as well have an invite to Renee Plasky to Telegram?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Renee, you are on the list, so I will send it to the list again.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have two. We have Telegram and we have Telegram chat. So, but you know, I invited Ari too. So Ari, at least you can take a look what people are talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan, very short.
Very short, yes. All right, I was curious if you have been able to work with the gold and shift from east to west, or have tried that, or is that something that is going to be individual?
I have worked with that, yes.
And is it through your will? Did they give you any certain ways that we are able to shift, or
Through the intentional will, yes.
do you enter the Christ as well, or is it already there because it's gold?
No, I go into the 12th layer of the earth.
Okay. And then with will. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, dear friends, looks like we are done for today. Please feel free to unmute your machine. It's say thank you to Ari, and I'll see you in 2 months on February 24th, 11 a.m. Central Time, US, Canada.
Thank you very much, Ari.
Bye, Ari. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
kind.
everybody.
Please all
Bye.
come to the Telegram group.
Andre for arranging it all.
Thank you all.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you. Thank you, Al.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you, Andre, too.
Camera is closed. Oh. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye.